Yeah.
Yeah, they were waiting for us.
Yeah. Yeah, Patrick's not going to be doing a ton on turn 1 other than setting up with a potential cantrip, so not really surprised to see him just fetch land go. All the important plays really happen on turn 2 for this deck.
Yeah.
Psychic Frog, up the Beanstalk, anything of that nature. Very strong.
Yeah. Once upon a time, obviously, like a big cornerstone of this Cradle control deck.
Yeah. Very, very strong card.
Mm-hmm.
In Modern, I used to refer to it as starting the game off by cheating. That's what it felt to me at the time.
That's pretty accurate, yeah.
Not as popular in Legacy as it was in more recent formats, but
no, but I think
I played it quite a bit in every format I was allowed to for quite a while.
It's definitely one of those cards that's definitely become a big cornerstone of this deck, because of how many hits it has in Cradle control.
Yeah, it very few misses. I mean, you have Green Sun Zenith in natural order.
Yeah,
but it hits every other card in the deck. No removal spell for the elf though, so.
Yeah, and Reclaimer can do some work in this game, so.
Yeah, not as combo-y as it is in some other decks.
Right.
You're not getting Dark Depths or Thespian Stage or anything like that. You're kind of looking to get Cradle, cement your mana.
I saw an Uro get pushed into the graveyard.
Yeah, talking about Surveillance earlier, huh?
Right.
How about some value?
Right, yeah, being able to just get to push your Uro into the graveyard when you want to just cast it later.
Yep. And looks like we do have one of these two drops that we wanted to play. I think it'll be the Frog.
I see a Psychic Frog, so yeah.
Card's impact on Legacy cannot be understated. Oh, looks like it's just a Beanstalk.
Beanstalk.
Makes a lot of sense if you have Force of Will or something like that.
Right.
Protect it. There's a lot of things that you want to Force of Will on turn 2 out of this deck.
I think the other thing is that the Frog doesn't necessarily grow above the Elvish Reclaimer right off the bat.
Yeah, and you don't also want to be exiling that many cards when you have Uro that you want to bring back.
Mm-hmm. You don't need to be exiled. Plus, you also don't want to be exiling your Uro.
Right, exactly.
Just to get in to draw a card. Yeah, Whiter the Reliquary. Yeah, forcing, getting to draw a card. There's that value, that Beans value.
Yeah, that's really a major indicator of why you would want to deploy the Beans there over the Frog, is so you can get the value, because you know you're going to want to force. Now we
Ponder.
Yeah, probably just look for a land if we don't have one already.
See a Dress Down.
Yeah, it's not bad.
No.
I think we're just looking for lands.
Looks like he's shuffling. Yeah. I agree. Yeah, I think in this case, those 3 cards don't really do much for your overall game plan.
Yeah.
You really just want to find a land.
Daze is also pretty embarrassing typically against these decks where it has one land that makes 5 mana. It's just not super well positioned, especially as the game gets later. It's okay on turns 1 and 2, but after that it really falls off.
Ponder. Wasteland's not terrible.
Yeah, and I think we see a Murderous Cut in there as well, so I think that's one of the few ones that doesn't have a fetch land that you're okay with. So you just fire off the Wasteland on the Bayou, try to protect some of that mana, and then use that Murderous Cut to both be a removal spell and a card draw spell in a later turn.
He's turned on, but he's using it to do something. Okay. Oh, yeah, Bog. Yeah.
Yeah, just make sure there's no funky business with a Murktide or anything like that.
Yeah.
Very heads up here.
There's no like clock at this point,
right?
Really, like Patrick's not presenting any amount of like threatening damage. Better to just get it out of the way right out of the bat.
We ran off a Brainstorm, but I don't know that we have a land here to follow it up.
Ugh.
I think we're still missing it. Alright, I mean, we have a push.
This Cradle doesn't look very good. Oh, well, okay. That's much better.
Yeah. Now I can land Frog. And
Frog looks much better against these creatures than it did against Elvish Reclaimer. For sure.
Yeah. But I also believe Romario has access to a natural order if he chooses to go for it. And I don't think I saw Force of Will in Patrick's hand, so I think Just jam that through. Yeah. It's probably Atraxa is normally what these decks get.
Yeah. Atraxa seems really good here.
Yeah. I mean, it will probably die to this Murderous Cut. We can discard some cards to our Frog. So it's not as bad as it could be. This isn't a deck that reanimates it, for example.
Can they cast the Murderous Cut, though? He did.
Yeah, you can discard the cards to the Frog.
Oh, well, that's true.
To pay for it. And then start getting back that card advantage by, by getting in there.
I see a Cradle. Let's see. Green Sun Zenith.
And Tico notably is an enchantment.
Yeah, so you can choose that and choose a creature.
Right.
Which, that might be what he's doing. I have to assume.
Yeah. You get a land and probably one creature here.
Which a land is a second Cradle of the land is pretty good.
Yeah.
I think that's the only land I see in this hand. This
yeah, I can't really see what's on the left.
I see at least 2 White of the Reliquaries and 2 Green Sun Zeniths. Oh, no, he's picked... Oh, there was a land. There was a Verdant Catacombs. He's picking that. Interesting. Yeah. That's a fairly reasonable Atraxa.
I like how last time he didn't read it, he just countered it without reading it. This time, he thinks it might resolve, so I'll pick it up for a read here.
Right.
Yeah, I mean... Patrick Deck can draw a lot of cards, right? Like, Beans draws a lot of cards. Frog is quite good. So, I wouldn't be shocked if we're able to come back from this, but it's not looking great right now.
Well, like you said, they could also just, he could just pitch some cards and cast the Murderous Cut.
Yeah, and then Murderous Cut redraws, so... A little bit late on the dress down there.
Yeah. Oh boy.
But
yeah, that is true.
I think it might kill white outright. I'm not sure. I imagine. No, I think white's a base 1/1.
Yeah. No, I think it's actually a base 2/2.
Yeah. So dress down doesn't kill it by itself.
I need to get it right there.
Yeah. Just double check. Make sure that
it's a base
2/2, so it doesn't die to a dress down. So I imagine we're just going to be pitching a bunch of cards. Yep, that looks like what's happening here. So that we can Murderous Cut. Oh, just the one.
Yep. There goes Atraxa.
Atraxa's gone. So we are up a lot of cards, and we can start doing cute things with Nantuko on the white, for example. Goes kind of crazy.
That's pretty nuts, yeah.
This is much more unfair usage of Nantuko than we saw in the prior decks, where we're mostly just using it to get 1/1 bodies with Nadu. But this time, if it's making extra white around players, that's kind of a big deal.
Right. Yeah. He couldn't attack into that because the white is a little bit bigger than I think he wanted to pitch cards to.
Right.
So that's important to note.
Yeah. Don't want to pitch extra cards and give it flying or anything like that.
I saw at least like another white Atraxa, the Dryad Arbor. It's at least a 5/5.
Yeah.
And it didn't have cards to pitch to make it. Give it flying, yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
So now it becomes a 6/6, and we can start making a lot of White of the Reliquaries.
Oh boy, that's gross. Oh my gosh.
Yeah.
He can make at least. Whoa, no. Okay, so there's 2 triggers on the stack now.
Correct.
And he can make
3 or 4 mana to make both of them whites.
Yeah. Yeah.
Right, 3 mana off the Cradle, 1 mana off the Hierarch.
Yes.
Oh, looks like he's satisfied with at least 1 token. Then float 4 mana and then make it white.
Oh, that's rough.
Yeah.
Big whites like that, that's disgusting.
I don't know if Patrick's deck has access to any sort of mass removal like this and is able to get out from under this.
It doesn't look like it. Not in the main deck.
Just things like Fatal Push.
Postboard, he has access to Pernicious Deed.
Yeah, that would be very, very good on this board.
Right?
Imagine he's wishing he had access to that right about now.
Yeah.
But in game 1, not something that we're able to do.
That's why he kept the token. He wanted to cast something else.
Well, yeah, and he has 2 mana floating here, plus a 3rd from that. The elf.
I mean, he could theoretically... Okay, so Green Sun... For 2?
How about another white?
Right? Wow. And then, technically, he could sack the token. Because the white is not summoning tech. He could sack the token and go get another Cradle here.
Yes.
And make another
white.
Yeah. So that's gross. But I think you wait to do that if.
Yeah. We also have an option to be able to get something like gates, like Talon gates. Yeah.
Yeah. Oh man. Yeah, that was that's a good indicator of what this Cradle control deck can do.
Yeah. Just
some of the really crazy plays and how much Springheart and Nantuko has changed that deck quite a bit.
Yeah.
As well as White of the Reliquary, obviously. Like, these decks started out, when they made their way into the Cradle control area from Elves, they started out playing Fiend Artisan, and Fiend Artisan is just nowhere near as good as White of the Reliquary is. It's just absolutely a much more powerful card.
Yeah, being able to chain together multiple whites was very impressive. And you do really need to do something engine related in order to get out ahead of this Beans deck before it starts just drawing insurmountable amounts of cards.
Yeah, and Patrick getting stuck on some lands there and having a brainstorm that didn't, present him any lands, having ponders that didn't present him any extra lands,
right?
Didn't help.
Yeah.
So I think from a sideboard perspective, I do like Pernicious Deed. I think that's
Pernicious Deed cannot come in fast enough. Imagine we'll also see things like Sheoldred's Edict.
Yeah.
Just get rid of creatures. You have the option for Bowmaster. There are some X1s. Probably not enough to put you interested in it. It's a thing that...
Nihil Spellbound might also be reasonable here. Just to shut off the whites.
Yeah, shrink them down to a reasonable size.
Shrink down their Elvish Reclaimers.
Yeah. It's okay. I mean, we have things like Spell Pierce and Daze that are really not at their best here, so... I imagine those cards are coming out and seeing how many spots we have that open up.
Is that Force of Vigor, I have to assume?
Yes. Yeah.
The screen we're looking at this on gives us like brand new printings of these cards, and the brand new printings of the some of these cards are the breaking news ones, and you cannot.
And they all just say Prosperity.
Yeah, you cannot tell what they are.
Yeah. All right, Romario's deck. We're just gonna kind of have to guess at what's in the sideboard here.
I would have to assume Force of Vigor, Leyline of the Void.
Force of Vigor, Leyline of the Void, a Dismember, potentially Thoughtseize. I don't really know how many of these cards we're going to be reaching for.
I have to assume Toxicrene is actually on the sideboard.
Yeah, almost certainly. Fortunately.
Yeah.
Fortunately. So it's possible we want to reach for the Thoughtseizes and then but I think there's a good chance that Romario just says, I'm just going to do that again. That's my plan. Beat it.
Yeah, no, that makes a lot of sense.
So we'll see how much Romario's deck actually changes here. Dismember sometimes can answer Frog, but a lot of times against these green decks, you can just discard 4 cards to save it. And it's fine.
Yeah. No, it's definitely not a card I would really want to play against Frog, for sure.
Right. And it doesn't really have any other good targets in the matchup. So. Alright. Both players keeping 7 again. We'll see if Patrick can make land drops this time. But on the play is certainly quite good here for him. Because Minzy can set up that turn to frog or beans more easily before the 2-drops and start coming down. Which are the focal points of the deck. Once upon a time after the land, which is interesting, signaling it doesn't really need another land other than maybe a Cradle or something like that.
Well, and maybe thinking about days, if he kept days.
Yeah, I think if your opponent wants a daisy or once upon a time picking up a slow surveil land in this matchup, I think you're more than happy to let that
for sure.
go.
Yeah.
Just a Reclaimer. And Forcible is the pickup, but none of those premier 2-drops here. Wait, so maybe leaving up removal, edicts, things of that nature. But both just going to play it slow.
I think that kind of tends to favor probably the Beans deck, kind of in the long
Yeah, I
run.
think so. As long, however much, the later it goes, the more you're allowed to set up and craft these board states where you are resolving Beans with mana open, digging towards Uro, just setting up these card advantage engines, the better it gets for you. Again, Romario does have open the option of getting Talon Gaze or something like that if there's a removal spell pointed at his Reclaimer.
Yeah.
But it's not that big of a deal if you just let it get a land. There's nothing super threatening that can happen to you here.
Talongate's really just a impressive card too. That card is shown up quite
Yeah,
quick,
you can
and
do it offensively where you shut down blockers. You can do it defensively where you save your creatures from wraths or removal spells or anything like that. And we're just kind of playing this draw-go game here. Nobody really wanting to do anything. Patrick has a Wasteland, but it's not very good into Reclaimer that's active every turn.
Yeah.
And Reclaimer doesn't really want to activate because then you turn off the ability to protect itself and protect your lands from Wasteland and things of that nature. So, but again,
Surveil land.
Yeah, the longer these decks spend setting up, I think the more Patrick is favored.
The layer of the Hydra.
Yeah.
It's interesting. Bowmasters. Okay. Brought in Bowmasters.
Yeah, there's a number of 1 toughness creatures, especially on the play. Like, you really want to be able to kill the turn 1 Hierarch if that's something that comes up. Dryad Arbor often gets fetched. Sometimes this deck just needs to play out the Springheart Nantuko by itself. And yeah, here we see the Bean finally being deployed here.
Yeah. And he's got a force in hand, so the Bean is going to pay for itself at least a little bit.
Right. Gotta feel pretty good if you're Patrick here. We have Disruption left up, number of blue cards, potentially some removal. We have our engine in play. That's very hard for the opposing deck to deal with.
Mario trying to figure out what he's doing here.
Yeah.
Just land pass.
Yeah, I think he might be a little bit flooded here if I had to guess.
Another Force of Will, so.
Yeah.
And he can hard cast this Force of Will, so.
He's thinking about whether to play this.
Mystic Sanctuary?
Yeah.
I don't think you do. I think you just hold it.
Nothing to put back yet, so. Just depends on what we have to deploy this turn. So we have something. Maybe a Murktide delving a couple lands just to redraw. Wouldn't be the worst thing, especially if we have just a ton of
right.
If we're just hitting a bunch of Force of Wills, and just getting a 3/3 into play is pretty reasonable.
Yeah.
This Reclaimer is not really wanting to activate. Oh. No, just...
That spurred an action of some sort.
No, it looked like just a passing of the turn here.
Just fetching.
Yeah. Maybe surveilling again, just... Oh.
There's a Dryad Arbor. Okay.
Another Dryad Arbor. Yeah. These decks often can't afford to play too many surveil lands, so...
Yeah, it's usually like 1 or 2.
Right.
There are too many games where you end up with it in your opening hand, and you're just like...
And we know that there's a Cradle here, but... So, Romario does have a good amount of mana, but it's starting on not a lot to do with it.
It's just hard cast Force.
Yeah, I mean...
Yeah.
When you're paying 5 mana to Force of Will, and it's...
Don't forget to draw your card.
He drew.
He did?
Yeah.
Oh, okay. I didn't see it, so I was like...
Ah. No, Force, and then immediately it just went straight to hand. Yeah, I think Romario just has not drawn very many spells this game, and...
It's like a Sheoldred's Edict.
It's
Fatal Push.
Fatal Push, and
yeah.
just going to try to phase out our creature in response, but I imagine there's another rule spell if this is what we're doing. Trying to figure out how to tap.
Yeah.
There we are.
How does math work?
Finally getting that Reclaimer to do something.
Yep. Yeah, there's the Talon Gates to phase it out.
Looks like that just all works out here. So we'll have to see what the follow-up here for Patrick is, I imagine. Imagine he's trying to clear something.
Uro seems pretty good.
Yeah, I mean, we just needed something to get going. Do we have enough lands to be able to save it from the bog? It doesn't look like that's the case yet.
No.
No.
We
do have time to fire off the Wasteland, which is good. Get in there.
Yeah, you might as well. Yeah.
Gotta win this eventually, and
Romario is not very inclined to block with his Arbor because it hurts his mana development at the same time.
Yeah, but we know this Uro isn't going to be able to do it because it's very likely that a Bajuka Bog is just tutored here and before it's able to be brought back. Yeah, imagine that's what's happening right now.
Could
Just nothing else you would tutor for main phase here like this. Yep.
Could you thoroughly imagine a consigned memory getting the Bajuka Bog?
Yeah, I mean, well, the thing about consign is that it would have just hit his own Uro trigger.
Yeah.
You can consign the Uro sacrifice trigger,
Yeah,
and I imagine that's where that would be pointed. It's very good against these green.
Yeah.
Where they're not very good at dealing with the 6/6 body.
Right.
So, alright. Follow-up Reclaimer here. No. Patrick does not want to deal with the
nope.
second.
just get rid of it.
Yeah.
And draw cards at the same time.
Yeah. Alright.
Yeah, brainstorm.
And now everything's down, so we have basically free reign to do almost whatever we want this turn.
Yeah.
Which is great.
Lots of cantripping.
Yeah.
The murderous cut.
Oh.
Just shuffle on that though.
Interesting. Maybe looking for just some threat to end the game, because Mario really is not doing much, but you do need to win the game at some point. And,
right.
Bowmaster attacking for 2 on turns where Reclaimer's tapped isn't really the best way to go about that.
Right.
There's the murderous cut.
Get rid of that other Reclaimer. Yep.
No. Have to imagine Romario stuck with just a bunch of lands in hand. I would imagine. Maybe something like Natural Order that he hasn't wanted to deploy yet. But typically that sort of thing comes out in this style matchup, where it's hard to like stick to the creature and resolve the Natural Order in one turn cycle.
Right. Unless he has like a Thoughtseize or something like that to take the force.
Right. Something like Thoughtseize plus Natural Order could very well get him back in this game. But
right. Oh, Frog is rough.
Yeah. I mean, certainly the window is closing here. He does have to do whatever he's about to do as soon as possible.
Hierarch. That is probably not
worth fighting over, yeah.
Well, it's also probably not like that insane to consider.
Should we go for the endurance?
Yeah, I mean, depending on how many cards Patrick has in hand.
I think he's got at least 3 or 4.
Yeah, that's good enough to push through an endurance with the frog.
Oh, and there's the second bean.
Woof.
Looks like
Just
brainstorm.
Sculpting.
Yeah.
You want to make that bean, when you cast that bean, and you want to make it good.
Right.
You want it to draw what you want it to draw.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, the second you start casting a Force of Will and it draws 2 cards,
Yeah.
it's just so hard to get back in to the game.
For sure.
So I don't imagine it'll last too much longer here. I mean, we can attack for 5. That's pretty cool. We can animate Lair for a ton.
Yeah, that's true.
Maybe we have like hardcast Crater Hoof in hand that's why we've been stuck with cards in hand.
Could be, yeah.
I think. Yeah, 4, 5, 6. Yep. Just animate?
I mean, that doesn't seem bad.
Yeah, we have a couple 1/1s that can just jump in front of the bullet here, right? You don't really need that 1/1 Bowmaster anymore. Actually, it just jumps in the way.
Does the card get trample?
No.
Or no?
It's just a vanilla XX.
That's right.
Yeah.
Yep.
Oh, and then that triggers the revolt for our fatal push. We can get rid of the endurance, so Frog can start connecting. We can really start building this lead here.
Oh, yeah. There's another beanstalk.
Yeah, you did somewhat have to be careful eventually at deploying too many beanstalks at once. It is an issue where you start running out of cards in deck pretty fast, and you do need to cast Force of Will. So normally about 2 is my limit in most formats. How about Pernicious Deed? Wipe all of your creatures.
Yeah, that's pretty good. And then he gets to get in there with the Psychic Frog. Draw a card. This is pretty textbook. Cycle Warrior revealed. Yeah.
Yeah.
Might as well.
There's still the Lair, but there's a lot less mana in play than there was the prior turn.
Right?
Here.
Yeah.
We're down to just 4 other mana, so animating for 3. Alright, now animating it for 4. Yeah, it looks like just lands here. Animate it for 4 and try to race, but it doesn't look like we're racing super well here.
No.
But this appears to be all we got, so.
Especially since Patrick was at 19.
Yeah.
Like, that's,
We can start discarding cards to Frog. We can leave back Bowmasters whenever we need to do that. Yep. Starting to leave back Bowmasters. Get that 1 block in.
Psychic Frog is just absurd. Wow.
Yeah. I mean, this is the part of the game where you flip your hand face up and you're like, can you beat these cards? And you know.
And he can just hard cast this Force of Will. That's
and then have pitch cast second Force of Will.
Yeah.
Each of which draws 2 cards.
Yeah, he's officially pulled away at this point to the point of no return, I think.
Yeah, almost certainly. I think if Romario could sculpt every draw step, I think he would still lose this game.
Yeah, quite possibly.
Like if every draw step is a Vampire Tutor, I think. Oh, you got a Shoulder's Edict?
Whoa, that's good.
Yeah. Yep, Shoulder's Edict before blocks, hit you for 3, down to 6. Draw 2 more cards. How much longer would you like to keep playing this game? Not much longer, if I had to guess.
Yeah.
There we go.
We go to game 3 here.
Right. Well, Romario does finally get to be on the play,
Yeah.
which is pretty important for the deck full of hierarchs and mana dorks.
Yeah.
We have just are able to play our important threats before beans can be developed, which is very big because that means the Force Will won't cantrip.
Right.
But again, you gotta like Patrick here. He's got a lot of efficient removal spells. You don't have to worry too much about Reclaimer, as you saw in that last game, right? Where you just left it up for 10 turns because it wasn't doing a whole lot and it had to keep on tap so it could save itself from removal spells.
Right.
Just a little bit awkward in the matchup that there's nothing proactive that you can get with it. And just forcing this waiting game, but Patrick's deck just snowballs so hard when you let him draw and deploy lands every turn.
Yeah.
It's just not something that you can allow him to keep doing.
Yeah. Looks like Romario may be making some sideboard decisions.
So, again, as I talked about earlier, Bowmaster is a card much better on the play than on the draw, because on the play it answers Hierarch cleanly, and on the draw, Hierarch gets to make some mana, he gets to deploy a couple extra cards, and it's just a little bit more awkward.
Right.
So, imagine those come out more efficient removal, or like maybe something like Consigned Memory is slightly better, or you can counter various triggered abilities that this deck produces many of. Bajuka Bog, Endurance.
Right.
Even the Talon Gates, where they're trying to save it from removal, you just consign the Talon Gates and then your removal gets through.
Correct, yeah.
There are various tricks like that we have access to.
They're shuffling up. Let's see what happens here.
I think Romario would really like to have a Hierarch this game. This is the game where Hierarch matters.
Yeah.
Because, you can't deploy the 2-drop, Patrick, which a lot of his, good answers to Hierarch are 2-drops.
Yeah.
So,
I saw a Green Sun Zenith. I did see an Ignoble Hierarch.
Alright, well.
So.
That could be good. We did see a Force of Will in Patrick's hand.
Natural order. Yeah.
Alright. Early Ignoble is exactly what Romario would like to see in this game, so
yeah,
it is certainly a good start. And sounds like he has access to Green Suns for 2 as well on turn 2. Yep, has the Ignoble. And it's very hard for Patrick to justify pushing this because there's so many important 2-drops that you need to save it for. So
I thought I did see a Force of Will.
Yeah, Patrick definitely has a Force of Will if that's something he feels obligated to do. But it looks like he also has Spell Pierce, which
that's pretty good in this scenario.
Yeah,
if he plans to Green Sun.
This is
Spell Pierce is pretty good there.
Exact moment where that's great. Patrick just praying it's a Green Sun Zenith. You can look at how fast. Yeah. Could not get that out of his hand fast enough.
Nice, clean, efficient
that looks
counter spells.
Oh, yeah, and alright. Dead leave in the Bowmaster.
Yeah.
So just kind of getting the mana under control. Make sure Romario is limited to 1 important spell a turn. We know we have the Force of Will back. If there's 1 spell that we can't answer. Green Suns for 1 this time. Imagine just a Reclaimer.
Yeah, I would say that's probably accurate here.
Yeah. One of the safer ones to let go, especially if you have something like a push. Don't need to be super concerned. I imagine if it was for 2 or 3, that we would have seen Patrick fight over it, but if it's just the for 1, it's nothing too threatening for Patrick.
Yeah, no.
And we do notice Patrick brainstorming off of Underground Seed. To me, that tells me he's looking to deploy off the Beanstalk this turn and doesn't have a black removal spell.
Yeah.
There's not too many other reasons that you would tap the Underground Sea instead of the drop in that instance.
Right. Yeah, no, that makes the most sense.
Because otherwise you'd want to leave up multiple black representing multiple removal spells. But I think we might see a Beanstalk here. Oh, Murderous Cut instead.
Yeah. Just get rid of the cards. Just keep pushing the damage.
Right.
Yeah. Getting rid of cards, of creatures and stuff that Romario has is one of the best ways to slow him down because of Cradle.
Yeah, and also we know that Romario has Natural Order in hand.
Yeah.
This is one of the awkward points of contention in this matchup where it's really hard to stick a creature and 4 mana against a deck that's just all removal spells and counter magic and is really, really good at interacting with cheap creatures. Like, that is what Patrick's deck is designed to do, is just interact with cheap creatures favorably.
And like also having access to Wasteland and just all sorts of stuff.
Right. Lets her go, so
I don't think he's too concerned about this white Ponder. It's all Witherbloom command.
Yeah, but that doesn't quite deal with the
no.
the white here.
I'm gonna shuffle that.
Yeah.
Seeing those cards, that made actually a really good sense to shuffle there.
Right.
Honestly.
I mean, there's not that many cards we're looking for. We'd love a frog, a removal spell.
Right.
I think we've picked up a Murderous Cut, which
that's beautiful.
Certainly is hard to complain about. Will be alive very soon.
Yeah.
And white not too threatening by itself. We do still have forcible backup to prevent anything too bad from happening this turn.
But fetching for a Dryad Arbor turns white on this next turn.
Yeah, so it is protected from removal for the moment, at least. Can always sacrifice the Dryad Arbor in response to the Murderous Cut in order to get that Talon Gates again.
Yeah. Green Sun for 1?
2.
2.
Yeah. All right. Second creature's way more dangerous than the first.
For sure.
Because the whites really chain off each other very, very well.
Right. Yeah, you saw Patrick chose to force that, so. Yeah. And now he's got enough mana up for a Murderous Cut.
Yeah, but no, it can sacrifice the Dryad Arbor to save itself with the Talon Gates.
Talon Gates, yep.
But it does mean that it is now tapped for Patrick's turn, but it's still phased out. So we can get some damage in, but we still can't really remove it.
I think Patrick's okay with pushing in some damage. Get that going. Yeah, Brainstorm.
Just looking for some way to get this game over with.
Yeah, and he's been exiling so many cards from his graveyard that makes it hard.
Yeah. You know, he had 2 forces, so he likely still has forcible backup here for the follow-up threat. We'll have to see what Romario can do other than attack for a lot with this white. Looks like 5.
Pretty big. It's pretty big, yeah.
Yeah. But there's not any other creatures under Romario's control. So if Patrick goes to kill... Well, there's the Endurance.
Yeah. Endurance is reasonable.
Yeah, and also gives a body to protect the white with.
Yeah.
So it is pretty important.
Yeah, I mean, he does have 2 of these Talon Gates in his deck, so...
Right.
And white having Vigilance, too.
Yeah,
very relevant.
It's really hard to kill that creature with 2 Talon Gates.
Yeah.
Really like to see something like Psychic Frog. Oh, there's a push. We're gonna get the second one here.
Yeah. We gotta
second Talon Gates.
Maybe Patrick has a follow-up for this.
Right. Really
I
need
didn't see one, but maybe he might.
Really need a frog or something of that nature to start actually pressuring Romario, not letting him just attack blankly with his
Well, I
white
think at this
every
point,
turn.
I think you send in.
Oh. He doesn't have the second Talon Gate, so maybe it's in his hand.
Huh.
That's really
Ooh.
unfortunate. Yeah, that's the problem with these decks that play a lot of one-ofs is sometimes you draw one of them and you can no longer tutor for it, and it's a card you really need to be tutoring for.
Yeah. Well, that's rough.
Yeah. So,
People, put your Dryad Arbors with your creatures, please.
all right, and we're gonna go for the natural order, but I should have the Forcible here. Yeah, hard cast Forcible now.
Oh yeah.
Drawing,
Hard
cantripping
cast Forcible,
that.
draw a card.
Yeah. Hard Cryptic Command hard mode, if you will.
Right.
Yeah.
5-mana Cryptic Command.
There's worse cards,
That's true. Was that a Mystic Sanctuary? Can't tell what the
I mean,
glare-
we definitely saw that as a card in his deck earlier. Could be putting.
It was, but he chose not to do anything with it. That's interesting.
Yeah. Maybe it was just the last fetchable land left. Oh, no, he did.
Oh,
Okay.
that's awkward because he shouldn't have done that way. It's kind of out of order sequencing in a sense.
No, you put the trigger on the stack with the Mystic Sanctuary, you cast Force of Will,
Oh,
draw
that's
your
true.
card,
Yeah,
and
draw
then,
your card. Yeah, okay.
then
never
let the
mind.
trigger.
Yeah, okay, yeah. Yep. Thank you for explaining that.
Yeah. That you can stack things very strangely here.
Yeah, that's true.
really.
Yeah. Brains, how do they work, folks?
Yeah.
From our end, it just looks weird. Weird.
Yeah. I've played a lot with both of the Beanstalk and Mystic Sanctuary, so I'm pretty accustomed to this play pattern.
And since we can't hear what they're saying or anything
Right.
like that makes it, just.
All right, second natural order. This one looks like it'll happen.
Yeah, I mean, Patrick doesn't have any way to stop it.
Right.
The graveyard is big.
Yeah. This looks like Patrick just working with air here. Just nothing going on. If he finds any edict or anything, it's game over on the spot. And he has a lot of cards that draw cards here.
This is not a good looking Atraxa though. Like there's a Springheart, there's Cradle,
The Thoughtseize.
Thoughtseize.
And we have a Hierarch. That's what it
Looks
looks
like
like.
Reclaimer. Thoughtseize. Yeah, so they're getting 4 cards off of it. It's not terrible.
I think that's about average from Romario's deck. It's not a deck flush with a bunch of different card types. It's mostly creatures and sorceries and lands.
Yeah.
So, not super surprising to me here.
Yeah. Might as well play that Reclaimer.
Yeah, it gives you insurance against an edict effect.
Yeah.
And now
That's
we're
true.
looking for a pretty slim subsection of cards. Suddenly,
Ooh, Romario kind of just like turned this game around with like. That's interesting.
One draw step. I mean, Patrick has a turn of chump blocking left. With the frog.
He has to cast 1 spell to do it. He only has
Well,
2
you can
cards in his
discard a
graveyard.
card from
or
it.
he can discard a card to it. Yeah.
It's like he has the Fatal Push with the Reclaimer, but that doesn't matter too much. So,
Reading Talon Gates.
yeah. I think he's worried about that. I can't see what the top blue card is in hand. No, it's Fatal Push land and some blue spell.
Yeah.
An expensive Murktide.
Yeah.
Alright. I mean, that will be a blocker, but that means that the frog can't block the Atraxa, so one Talon Gates is still good.
He's got a Pernicious Deed in hand.
Yeah. I don't think that really does it against Atraxa.
No, not really. He doesn't have enough mana to cast it and activate it.
Yeah. So,
But I do think you should take out the Reclaimer.
actually, so something interesting that can happen here is if Romario has the Talon Gates, you can't do it anymore. But if Romario has the Talon Gates in hand, like we kind of think he does because he didn't search for it earlier, what you could have done is Fatal Push your own Bowmaster, then discard the third card in your hand, exile the 3 cards to give Frog Flying, and then Chump Block. Because Fatal Pushing your own Bowmaster gives you 1 more draw step. But
Right.
It's possible that the second Talon Gates is in the sideboard or something like that.
Both players at 4 life, at least for temporary.
Yeah, I don't know how long that will continue to be the case.
Right. Nantuko, pretty good.
I imagine that's targeting the Atraxa. Right?
Oh,
God. I don't think there's anything on that card that says it can't target Legends, right?
No, but it looks like he just played it. It wasn't Bastet.
Yeah.
But no, it can definitely, yeah. You can definitely do that and just, draw a bunch of cards, yeah.
Yeah. No, you sure can.
Yeah, oh yeah, that seems pretty good, actually.
Yeah.
But I think he's... Natural order for Crater Huff?
Yeah. That's
lethal.
Man. Wow.
Yeah. Just
Out of nowhere.
Just turning your Trox into a 9/9 at that point, and
the power didn't matter. It's just the
trample.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Wow.
Wow.